Good morning, I'm Adam Sexton. Thanks for joining us on Close Up. We were expecting to speak with President Donald Trump ahead of his planned rally in Portsmouth Saturday, but the campaign decided to postpone due to the threat of heavy weather from Tropical Storm Faye. A campaign spokesman says to expect the event to be rescheduled within the next couple of weeks. While the event itself may be delayed, the battle for New Hampshire's 4 electoral votes in November continues. We spoke with Pete Buttigieg, who's been zooming in and out of New Hampshire quite a bit on behalf of Joe Biden, and Donald Trump Jr. about the state of the 2020 race. Even though it's one of New Hampshire's liberal bastions, President Donald Trump has had some memorable rallies in Portsmouth. In January 2016, before the first-in-the-nation primary, he accepted the endorsement of Scott Brown.
The next president of the United States, Donald Trump. Wow. Wow, that's great.
And he was back again just 3 weeks before the November 2016 election.
You have 24 days to make every dream you ever dreamed for your family, for your country, come true.
The planned rally at Pease promised more memorable moments for the president's supporters, but the Trump base will have to wait. The campaign postponed, citing weather concerns, saying it plans to reschedule within the next couple weeks. Democrats still say holding a rally amid the pandemic unnecessarily puts lives in danger.
It's disappointing to see that he's willing to put his own supporters at risk, but also the communities that they belong to. You know, the president is supposed to set an example. The president is supposed to demonstrate what the rest of us ought to be doing. And in this case, it means taking care.
The Trump campaign is clearly looking for a way back to the playbook the president used so successfully in his first run for office. Trump's son, Don Jr., continues to taunt former Vice President Joe Biden for not being more active on the campaign trail.
He's got to finally come out of his basement. It's the first campaign in the history of politics, not just American politics, where everyone's thrilled that Joe can hide in the basement and that he can't be seen in front of people.
Democrats say Biden won't be goaded into putting public health at risk by resuming a regular schedule of in-person campaign events. They say they're not taking for granted the current electoral map and rosy polling, but if President Trump returns to New Hampshire, it will be a challenge to the Biden campaign to compete in a state the former VP lost badly just 5 months ago in the primary. Joining us now to break down the pandemic election year ahead is Neil Levesque from the New Hampshire Institute of Politics, who actually just got over his own bout of COVID-19. Neil, we're glad that you are with us and doing well.
Thank you.
So this is going to be an election year unlike any other. Is it going to be possible for President Trump to get back to that playbook we were just talking about that he wrote all the way in 2016?
Well, I think most people recognize that Donald Trump really is a politician who thrives on having these big rallies and big speeches. He loves it. That's why he's done so many of them. And so he really needs to get back into that. Now, obviously, there's a big thing called a pandemic that's in the way. They tried to create this event in Portsmouth that would be outside so that the risk would be lessened. But obviously, because of the tropical storm, that's been canceled. But many politicians, not just Donald Trump, they really do want to get back into this sort of campaigning mode, even if they can't shake hands and kiss people on the cheeks.
Of course, Joe Biden loves that in-person campaigning, but it appears he's benefiting from staying at home. Can he ride this all the way, even as he's being derided for hiding in his basement by Republicans?
Well, I think right now that the big issue is the pandemic and how well the president handles the pandemic in people's and voters' minds is really going to be the determinant of the November election. So if Biden just stays there, you know, in his basement, as they say, but also where a lot of other people like us are also, he may benefit from this as he has been. So right now, the polls are good for him. The polls are not so good for the president recently. Maybe that's because of the leadership he's taken in the pandemic. So I think the longer he can stay, Joe Biden can stay sort of tucked away in his house, I think it's probably better for him.
Yeah, Don Jr. said there was no precedent for that, but of course Warren Harding ran that front porch campaign back in 1920. This could be the modern corollary to that. So why do you think it's been so difficult, though, for the Trump campaign and Donald Trump to be able to land punches on Vice President Biden? The president was able to really take it to Hillary Clinton. It just hasn't landed the same way with the vice president.
Whether you like him or you don't, President Trump is very, very good at taking an opponent and really putting them into a box. He did it very successfully with many of his opponents in 2016 on the Republican side and the Democratic side. It's harder for him. He calls him Sleepy Joe, but he hasn't really been able to sort of put Joe Biden in a corner. And it's been tough for him. And because Biden has sort of been sequestered because of the pandemic at his house, he hasn't been sticking his neck out so much. And so it's hard for the president to really define him in a negative way, which he really has to do going towards November.
Certainly the vice president with one of the all-time comebacks in the primary process as well. In a past life, you were involved in politics before. What would you be doing to advise a candidate right now in this setting?
This is so hard. If you're an incumbent and you're trying to get attention, you're trying to raise money, you're trying to make people understand the contrast between you and your opponent, it's almost impossible. I mean, look at the two of us. We're on Zoom right now. It's so hard to conduct a campaign via Zoom. So I think to some degree, the incumbents have an advantage, but how well they respond to the pandemic is really going to be the issue.
All right.
It's going to be hard to run a campaign in 2020.
All right, Neil Levesque, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.